What's good, everybody? It's Stories here. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, I just want to say I upload videos on Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown weekly. So if you're into pro wrestling, you can hit that subscribe button for the low price of free. And I mean, who doesn't like free stuff anyways? So getting into the video, we're going to be talking about Monday Night Raw, which took place on December 12th, 2022, live from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And this was a pretty good show. The crowd was pretty much into everything that we've seen tonight. And there were a few big things to come out of this show. Number one was Bobby Lashley being fired. So I'll talk about that first. Basically, in the main event, we had Bobby Lashley versus Seth Rollins in a number one contender match for the United States Championship. So at the end of this match, Lashley, he had Seth Rollins in a hurt lock, and Rollins was scrambling to get out, so both men ended up running into the referee, who basically took a bump outside the ring and tweaked his ankle. Bobby Lashley hit a spear on Seth Rollins, but the referee was slow to get into the ring, so Bobby Lashley ended up getting a 2 count, and he felt like the referee was trying to screw him. So Lashley, he attempts another spear, but Seth Rollins caught him with a pedigree and ended up winning the match. So he's the number one contender for the United States Championship. But what happens after the match is the real story. So like I said earlier, Bobby Lashley felt like the referee was trying to screw him. He had that referee backed into a corner, and another referee came out to try to calm Lashley down, but Lashley just hit him in the face with a back elbow. This led to Adam Pearce coming out, and Adam Pearce basically said that last week was a warning, but this week he's going to be forced to do something. So Bobby Lashley, he wasn't trying to hear it. He tried so many times to get around Adam Pearce, but Adam Pearce wouldn't let him go. He ended up just pushing Adam Pearce into the barricade, which completely set Adam Pearce off. I mean, he got heated. So Adam Pearce, he immediately gets into Bobby Lashley's face and says that he's fired. Now, I have a couple ideas on where they can go from here. I highly doubt that Bobby Lashley is going to be written off TV. My best guess would be that Bobby Lashley, he's actually going to show up on Raw next week and get inside the building somehow. Either he's going to sneak his way in, or he might buy a front row ticket to the show. But somehow, some way, I feel like he's going to be on next week's show and he's going to end up destroying the Raw locker room. Other than that, I can't really see where they will go from there. And as I said before, Seth Rollins, he's a number one contender for the United States Championship. So currently we have Austin Theory and Seth Rollins sitting at the top of the United States Championship picture. Now this championship is pretty much the main thing to fight for on Raw because Roman Reigns is holding the WWE Championship hostage. So I came up with a list of guys that Austin Theory could actually face until we get the WWE Championship back on Monday Night Raw. So Seth Rollins, he's the number one contender. Dolph Ziggler, he had a promo on this show where he said that his eyes were still on Austin Theory and the United States Championship. We already know that Mustafa Ali, he has unfinished business with Austin Theory. Matt Riddle, we found out that he was suspended for 6 weeks due to a failed drug test, and he's actually going to be in rehab, so he's not going to be on TV for a while, but when he comes back, he would be a nice person to throw into that picture. And I want to make the case for AJ Styles. So AJ Styles, he had a match with Chad Gable on this show, which he won. And AJ Styles, he's been picking up victories over the past couple weeks, including a victory against Finn Balor at Survivor Series. So I know they have him with the OC right now, but there's nothing wrong with AJ Styles challenging for the United States Championship while being with the OC. I mean, think of the matches that we can get between AJ Styles and Seth Rollins, AJ Styles and Austin Theory, AJ Styles and Dolph Ziggler even. And if you're telling me that those matches don't interest you, then you're just bugging. So yeah, those are some guys that I would like to see face Austin Theory for the United States Championship, just so that we're not getting Austin Theory versus Seth Rollins every week. You know what I'm saying? So the next major thing I want to talk about on this show was the number one contender match for Bianca Belair's Raw Women's Championship. We had Bayley versus Alexa Bliss. Before the match even got started, Becky Lynch, she got rid of Damage Control, and Bianca Belair, she was also watching from ringside. So towards the finish, Bayley, she removed the turnbuckle pad, but Bianca Belair basically snitched on her to the ref, which led to Alexa Bliss hitting a Twisted Bliss on Bayley, and she won. So she's the number one contender for the Raw Women's Championship. Probably the most interesting thing to come out of this was what took place after the match. So Belair and Bliss, they're both baby faces and technically friends in storyline. They go to hug each other, but Alexa Bliss, she was facing the big screen. Bianca Belair, she had her back toward the big screen, and Bray Wyatt's logo appeared on the screen. So Belair, she had no idea that this happened. Alexa Bliss, she basically went into like a trance-like state, or like she was like hypnotized by this logo. So as they go for the hug, Alexa Bliss, she attempts to hit her sister Abigail on Bianca Belair, but she quickly let go and she left the ring like she was ashamed of herself or embarrassed, and Bianca Belair was pretty much just confused. She didn't know what happened. So I'm glad that we're getting new opponents for Bianca Belair. Alexa Bliss, she works better as a heel anyways, and this storyline with Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss interests me. I know they did it in the past, and not a lot of people liked it, but I wasn't really watching WWE back then. because the storylines and the booking was just so horrible that I couldn't watch. But I'm interested to see where they go with Alexa Bliss and Bray Wyatt. So lastly, I want to talk about Asuka and her potential character change. But before I do that, let me just run through the rest of the results of this show. So we had Judgment Day versus the Street Profits and Akira Tozawa. The crowd was really into that match. In the end, Tozawa, he attempted a senton off the top rope, but Priest, who was the illegal man, hit a razor's edge from the apron into the ring, and Dominic Mysterio pinned Tozawa for the win. Io Sky with damage control at ringside versus Candice LeRae. Io Sky won that match with a moonsault. Elias versus Solo Sikoa with Sami Zayn at ringside. Before the match, Elias, he hosted a Matt Riddle tribute concert. He sung a song that Matt Riddle wrote, and then Solo ended up interrupting him, so they had the match. Solo, he won with a spinning solo. After the match, he hit Elias with a Samoan spike, and he grabbed a chair, put it around he put it around Elias' neck. Basically what he did to Riddle last week, but Kevin Owens came out to make the save. Kevin Owens hit Solo Sikoa with a stunner, and then he ended up hitting Elias with a stunner as well. Now, with that being said, let's move on to Asuka. So she had a match on this show against Rhea Ripley. Towards the end of the match, she had an Asuka lock locked in on Rhea Ripley, but Dominic Mysterio put Rhea Ripley's foot on the rope. Asuka, she was basically tight, so she sprayed blue mist in his face, and Rhea Ripley took advantage, hit her with a riptide, and she won the match. Now, the story of this match, I believe it was Cody Graves that pointed this out on commentary. He said that basically Asuka has lost her touch over the years and she hasn't been the same. And even after Asuka lost the match, you could see the visible look on her face that she was upset with herself. And it's also worth mentioning that she didn't even come out with her face paint that she usually wears. So she's been posting a lot of stuff on Twitter. I'll try to put something up on the screen so you guys can see it. But she's been posting pictures of herself back when she was in Japan wrestling as Kana. So it looks like her character is going to be changing, which is actually interesting to me because I haven't really felt interested in Asuka like that since she had the undefeated streak, which eventually got taken away by Charlotte Flair. And it's not her fault because she came into WWE to the main roster at a time where Charlotte Flair was being pushed to the moon, and Vince McMahon just didn't really have nothing for Asuka. So I'm interested to see how Triple H is going to book Asuka on the main roster. Overall, this character change is going to be a good thing for Asuka. So with that being said, guys, that was the review for Monday Night Raw. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like. Like I said earlier, I'll upload Monday Night Raw, Dynamite, and Friday Night SmackDown reviews every week. So hit that subscribe button as well. I'll see you guys on the next video, and I'm out.